Hey, welcome to CMP 100, the first week of school. I've chosen a festive background here. I did get to play a little Destiny 2 this summer, but not a whole lot. I was teaching that new Google certification class, which we will talk about at some point. Right now, I'm going to share my screen with you so that we can take a look at our first week's material. All right, minimize this one. So here we are in CMP 100, and I want to show you exactly where I am. I have clicked on the class overview. Always takes it a second to load there. So right there, this course, that's where I'm at. And this is the course overview. And this is what we're going to take a look at in this particular presentation. The differences between high school and college. Why education is the way it is, or AKA, otherwise known as, why is it so confusing? Why does it have to be this way? How to navigate in higher learning, what an AAS degree is, and what an ABUS degree is, and what are EAC certificates and how to be successful. So that's what we're taking a look at, and I'm going to break these videos down into little chunks. And so we're going to tackle why education is the way it is. First off, why is this so confusing? Now remember, get your notes out, right? Have a different screen open, have your tablet open, whatever you're going to do, and you should be taking notes on this information as I go through it. So education is, especially let's focus on higher education, is the way it is because it's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. You know, the Spanish started having universities back in the 1500s. Could be wrong, maybe it's the 1400s. And so there's this long tradition of what higher education is supposed to do, and higher education was really for those things that somebody wanted to do that required more than a basic skill set. So in other words, in your life, if you were living back then, your parents would be responsible for teaching you how to do basic math, how to write, how to read, and those kinds of things. Later on, as it developed, then you start dealing with sending your kids away to some school for a while, and they teach those things plus more, right? So they send them away to these places. And then in the U.S., basically what happened is Benjamin Franklin and others said, you know, there needs to be a basic set of education. We need to train our people. And that was, you know, very not revolutionary, but that was just basically building on the past of what was already there. And so then it was like, okay, well, we're gonna teach people for a number of years. We'll take them when they're 6 or 7 years old, and they'll start learning the basics of reading and math and so on. And then by the time they're, you know, 14 or 15 years old, they'll have what they need to be successful in life, because you can go read books at that point and learn more. Unless, of course, you want to be a doctor, or you want to go into law, or you want to teach. There was just a handful of professions that basically you would go on to higher education for. And then it's now blown into this of what it is. And so when you look into the past, there were certain things that they wanted you to learn. There were certain philosophies and outlooks that they wanted to expose you to, regardless if you were going to be a teacher or a lawyer or a doctor. And that's what higher education did. And then higher education, of course, now, what is it doing now? So in higher ed, in community colleges and in universities, there's certain things that people, I shouldn't say people, businesses identify with. They know that you went in and took English 101 and 102, and that should have taught you how to write something with an intelligent thought process. They know that you've taken math. Maybe it's college mathematics or maybe it's college algebra, but they know that you've had to go through this logic and reasoning situation. They know you've taken some history and some science. And what that does to us as people is it broadens our minds. It makes us think of things in different ways instead of, for instance, just going to math school because you're good at math and all you want to do is math. That's a very limited point of view. Or I want to be English, so I'm just going to go to English. So, in other words, what our basic education has become, especially at a 2 year level, is gathering all this general knowledge that will hopefully enrich what you're going to do when you work. Now, practically speaking, so let's talk about the practicality of things. What businesses look at is the fact that you went to college and you took at least half of the courses that you didn't want to take, right? You didn't want to take that biology class or geology, or you didn't want to take English, or you didn't want to take math, and you had to do it. You stuck with it. That's really important because they know, right? People in business, in work, I shouldn't say business, in any organization out there working, they know that there's going to be a part of your job that you don't like, and there's going to be part of your job that you do like. And really, honestly, in my opinion, if you have a job where you like 80% of what you do, you are very satisfied with your job. It is impossible to find a job where you like 100% of what you do. Even if you talk to an artist and like, oh, I love everything I do, and then you start talking to them about, well, how do you sell your artwork, and how do you right? And then they're like, well, I don't like that part so much. Yeah, there's parts you don't like. Like as an educator, as a teacher of technology, I love being around the technology. I love being around you as students. This COVID stinks, honestly, because I look forward to interacting with you and getting to know you and what your thoughts and desires are and what you want to do in your life. I love having that a part of my life. And so I love that portion of my job. But I also have to go to a lot of meetings and there's committees about discussing what we do about this or that or the other. And I just don't want to really do that stuff. But it's part of my job, so I'm very happily satisfied with what I do and the people I get to meet. But there's also a part of my job that I don't want to do, and my education helped prepare me for that. It helps you go through that rigor and that process of, gosh, I hate this. But when you go to work, you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but you can stick with it because that's what you did in your English class or whatever class that you don't like, and there's always going to be quite a few. Now, education is confusing because what's ended up happening is that, for instance, a community college is supposed to help train you for going and getting a job, but we also help train you to move on to getting a bachelor's. And so we have these different competing things that we do. And so now all that has to fit in with the hundreds of years of tradition of what education, higher ed was and what it is now. And it just becomes this hodgepodge. In high school, right, you're given very limited choices. Even at a big high school, yeah, you can take these three sciences. That's what you can take. Figure it out. You only have one elective this year. What do you want to do with it? You only have two electives this year. What do you want to do with it? That's it, right? In college, you get to basically come in and here's all these classes. What do you want to do? What would you like to take? We offer 6 different sciences. Which one do you want? And that's just at little old EAC, right? If you're at a university, now you're dealing with hundreds. Well, which ones count for what? And it becomes difficult. Now, another portion of that you won't really care about is the government, right? Every time the government gets involved in something, political comment, they complicate things. And so there's all this regulation that we have to comply with in order for our degree to be recognized across the United States. And so because of that, you have to specify this class can go here and this class can go here. Otherwise, if we don't do that, they just say, well, no stamp for you. You don't get our stamp of approval. And then when you go to work and oh, what college did you go to? And then they look into it, they go, oh, they're not certified, right, by the US government. So they probably just sat around and partied the whole time. They didn't have to do anything. So we have to follow those rules and regulations. And that's why everything becomes so confusing. So within the first week of this course, what I want to do is show you our degree programs and give you some helps that'll make it easier for you. And I can tell you, I am so angry and upset at how many students will go through this first assignment and then they just get rid of the paperwork. Basically, they get rid of that track, that roadmap, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to take next." And so this first assignment, which we're gonna take a look at in this next video, um, is all about just trying to map what classes you're going to take and what you're going to be in. And so I'm going to end this one here and pick it up in the next one. So please stay tuned.